It's good to have you with us at this hour with the latest news updates from in and around Korea. This is Daniel Choy. Well, the South Korean military has vowed to counter any provocations after North Korea threatened to shoot down anti-Pyongyang leaflets that are set to be released next week. The North responded by saying it will retaliate with triple the force once fired upon. Our Hyun-bin starts us off.
North Korea again warned the South Korean civic group that if it goes ahead with the plan to send anti-Pyongyang leaflets across the border, it will shoot the balloons down with all its firepower. The threat made Sunday comes after a leading activist group said it would distribute the materials criticizing the communist regime around March 26. The date marks the 5th anniversary of North Korea's torpedoing of the South Korean warship Cheonan, which killed 46 South Korean sailors. The activist group, which includes many North Korean defectors, said earlier this month that it would release around 500,000 leaflets and DVDs of the U.S. film The Interview, a satirical comedy that depicts the fictional assassination of North Korean leader Kim Jong-un. North Korea's state-run Korean Central News Agency warned that its frontline troops would blow all of the balloons up, adding that any countermeasures will draw double and triple the retaliatory strikes. It also called on all South Korean residents in the region to evacuate. In response to the threats, South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff said that it will respond promptly to any provocations aimed at the civilian activist group. It reiterated that the group is acting on its own, and the South Korean government has no right to forbid the act, which could be seen as a restriction on freedom of speech. Hyun-bin, Arirang News.
A controversial U.S.-led missile defense system could be up for discussion during a visit to Korea this week by the United States top military officer. Martin Dempsey, the U.S. chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, could discuss THAAD deployment with his Korean counterpart Cheonan when they meet in Seoul on Friday. That's according to the Joint Chiefs of Staff's Deputy Director for Political Military Affairs for Asia, David Stilwell, who was speaking with Voice of America in an interview that ran on Sunday. Stilwell emphasized that THAAD deployment to the Korean peninsula is crucial for regional defense. Seoul's Ministry of Defense told Yonhap News, however, that the agenda for the meeting has not yet been confirmed. Dempsey is scheduled to arrive for a 3-day visit to Seoul on Thursday. Japan and China had different perspectives on their recent trilateral meeting with Korea, the first of its kind in 3 years. China's Beijing Times reported Sunday that the meeting, held Saturday in Seoul, had brought trilateral relations back on track. Japan's Asahi Shimbun reported the same day that the meeting showed that it is difficult to repair relations between Korea and Japan. It also said China made things difficult because it was too aggressive in bringing historical matters to the table. The Korean media characterized the meeting as a step forward in trilateral relations. In a statement at the close of the meeting, the ministers agreed to strengthen cooperation by facing historical matters and vowed to hold a trilateral summit at the earliest convenient time for the three countries. The China-led Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, or AIIB, continues to receive votes of confidence, this time at the inaugural ASEAN Finance Ministers and Central Bank Governors meeting. On Saturday, Malaysia's second Finance Minister, Datuk Seri Ahmad Husni Hamadzala, said most ASEAN member countries are founding members of the AIIB and are currently awaiting progress on the new setup as it could provide more funding opportunities for ASEAN. Korea has been at a crossroads on whether to join the AIIB, which could counter the Asia Development Bank led by the U.S. While local media outlets have reported that Korea will choose to join the AIIB, the presidential office has said nothing has been decided yet. A private think tank in Seoul has lowered its growth outlook for Korea to 3.4%. That's down by 0.3 percentage points. The Korea Economic Research Institute also revised down its outlook for the global economy to 3.5% from 3.8%. The Institute's report released Sunday attributed the downward revision for Korea to rising uncertainty about Korea's exports to China and China's slowing economic growth. The Institute also said many self-employed people are going through a slump, pulling down household income. In addition, the institute reported that people in the high-income bracket are spending more of their money outside of Korea and advised the government to do more to encourage them to spend more in the nation. March 22nd is World Water Day, and the OECD had some grim news for Korea on that day. The country may be facing a water shortage come 2050 if it doesn't do something before then. Our Shin Se-min reports on how much water Korea is wasting and what can be done to avoid a crisis.
An average Korean uses about 282 liters of water a day, the highest amount in the world, according to the Environment Ministry. The country's old water pipes leak over 650 million tons of water a year, a loss of $500 million. Korea has an annual monsoon season, but the rainwater utilization rate is only 26%. Given Korea's water consumption, the OECD predicted in a 2012 report that the country will be facing a water shortage in less than half a century. But there are water conservation efforts in the country. For example, manufacturing companies have started using reclaimed water. Every day, over 200,000 tons of sewage enters this water purification facility for reprocessing. There, the wastewater is turned into clean water through a treatment process. Korean steelmaker POSCO uses the water to flush out impurities in the steelmaking process.
We used to limit industrial water use during the dry season, but now we're recycling reclaimed water, so we can provide factories with clean water.
Currently, only 10% of the 7.2 billion tons of wastewater produced in Korea a year is recycled. The government is looking to open more sewage recycling plants in the future to encourage water reclamation. Experts say, however, that the pace of climate change is making it even more necessary to raise awareness about water conservation and encourage people to do what they can do to save a little water every day. Shin Se-min, Arirang News.
Shifting gears to a different story now, a weekend getaway turned into a tragedy for two families from Seoul when their tent caught fire at a campsite in Incheon, taking 5 lives. Police and fire officials reported the fire broke out at around 1:20 a.m. on Sunday morning inside a 16-square-meter tent set up at a camping ground close to a beach in Ganghwa-do Island. Those killed include a 37-year-old father surnamed Lee and 2 of his sons ages 11 and 6. Lee's friend surnamed Chun and his 7-year-old son were also killed in the same tent. Another of Lee's sons, who was 8, and a 43-year-old man in a nearby tent survived. Both suffered second-degree burns. A fire official said it took just a minute for the tent to burn as it was made from combustible material. The cause of the fire has not yet been determined, but police suspect it was originated with an electric heating panel. Residents on a remote Korean island now have access to super-fast mobile internet thanks to KT, Korea's second-largest telecom company. The move is part of the company's effort to improve life for people living on isolated islands around the country. Our Lee Ju-young tells us more.
Hayoung-suk's smartwatch helps healthcare workers check up on her in real time.
I'm very thankful. I can use this smartwatch to contact people if I happen to be sick. It's like a friend.
That connectivity is important because she lives on the northwestern island of Baekneung-do, 4 hours away from the mainland by ferry. The island has just 5,400 residents, but it's the site of a major initiative by KT, Korea's second-largest telecom company. The company installed a mobile internet system that's 10 times faster than the island's existing service.
We plan to continually invest in communications networks to some 500 islands, providing high-speed internet.
The project aims to improve quality of life for isolated island residents by offering state-of-the-art technology in security, education, and healthcare. Students can now video conference with teachers in Seoul. And a total of 26 walkie-talkies have been installed in every shelter on the island for emergencies, like North Korean attacks or natural disasters. KT has also installed smart monitoring systems at piers, so residents can keep an eye on their boats in real time, even when they're away. The telecom company has the same vision for all of Korea's islands and plans to install the speedier network infrastructure on nearly 40% of them this year. Lee Ji-young, Arirang News.
The United Nations Security Council says it will hold an emergency meeting on Sunday regarding the crisis in Yemen. The meeting was requested by Yemeni President Abdul Rabu Mansour Hadi after increasing violence and a series of suicide bombings in the country that left at least 137 people dead, according to Reuters. Multiple sources indicate that Yemen's third largest city of Taiz has been seized by rebels. Yemen has been in a state of crisis for months after Houthi rebels took over the capital and President Abdul Rabu fled the southern port city of Aden. The meeting was announced as the U.S. pulled its remaining special forces from the country due to the worsening security situation. In his first public remark on the Israeli election, U.S. President Barack Obama said Washington takes Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu at his word when he said there would be no Palestinian state during his term. In an interview with the Huffington Post over the weekend, Obama said the U.S. now has to, quote, evaluate what other options are available to make sure that we don't see a chaotic situation in the region. Netanyahu has since walked back the comments he made before his party claimed victory in Tuesday's parliamentary election. The U.S. president also criticized Netanyahu for comments he made on the day of the election about Arab-Israeli voters going to the polls in droves, saying Israeli democracy has been premised on everybody in the country being treated equally and fairly. Moving on to weather, hope you have your mask ready if you're in Seoul. The yellow dust level was 6 times higher than usual on Sunday evening. There will be sharp winds and colder temperatures as the mercury dips down below zero on Monday morning in Seoul, so do be prepared for that. And now let's check out the weather conditions outside of Korea, around the world. And that's all from us for today. Thank you for watching. Do have a great start to your week.